All right, so just to start us off, how's everything going? How's the team seem to be doing leading up to this first series?
Good. We've gotten a lot done. We had 3 good days in a row: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Had a short day yesterday. Have a short day today, and then off day Wednesday to get ready to travel on Thursday. So, kids done a good job. We've probably amped it up more in the last 2 weeks. Maybe a little bit more conservative getting started with them, but just want to make sure everybody's healthy and get them in good shape, and then be ready to hit the first game with a pretty much a full squad as far as our health and availability of our guys. And then, from there, the season gets going pretty quick. We don't waste any time getting started. So I feel good about it. And I know the kids are excited to, kind of enter a game week and transition a little bit out of inter squad practice mode and get ready to compete.
You had mentioned before how there's several options for the catcher position. Has anyone been getting more time at that yet, or is it still kind of spread around?
Um, Brock Mathis has caught a lot of innings. He's definitely done a good job. Max Hewitt's caught a lot of innings as of late as well. He'll be in the mix to get some time behind the plate. And Josh Spiegel, those guys have caught the vast majority of the innings here in the spring semester. But I'd say right now, those 3 kids will definitely be the guys that we lean on back there.
Do you have a rotation that you think you're going to use, and if so, is that something you're ready to share yet?
We'll throw Bryce Osmond, Parker Scott, and Justin Campbell. I know Coach Walton's still kind of working on the order, how he's going to line the kids up. He's going to start those guys and really just trying to match it up to where we have a good bullpen depth each day. It's a 4-game trip, not a 3-game trip, since we stay over and play ASU on Tuesday. So really he's going to look at that window of Friday through Tuesday and just try to line up our best guys that can bounce back, say maybe work on a Friday and then bounce back and work on a Tuesday, or guys that could work on a Friday and a Sunday, and kind of build the depth of each game. You always have to do that to start a season. You have to try to have 2 or 3 guys on call for each game, since pitchers' pitch counts are not really built up. Some pitchers maybe are a little more stretched out than others at this time of year, but our guys are typically in the 60, 75 pitch range the first time out, and usually it would take you about 150 quality pitches to win a game. So you probably need to have roughly, two to 3 guys ready to kind of piece those 4 challenging games together over the course of the trip. But those 3 guys will start games, and then we'll kind of see where we're at going into game 4. The exact arrangement of what day yet, I think Rob's still just kind of getting through how the kids' arms feel coming off of this past weekend where we stretched them out for the first time. Some of the kids threw upwards of 50, 60 pitches. So, but yeah, we feel good about where the kids are at. Everybody's been able to take each bullpen and each outing so far in the spring, and that's really what you're thinking about this time of year.
Ben Leeper had talked about last year after pitching in that super regional game and getting so close to Omaha. He's really got kind of some extra motivation since he said he felt like there's unfinished business. What kind of do you see his approach has changed at all going into this season?
Well, that's good. There's something that drives everybody, and if that left him feeling like there's a sense of something left to accomplish, that's good. Hopefully, that drives his work ethic. It drives his thought process to be ready each day he goes out there. But it's good to have Ben back as a 5th-year senior. He's got a lot of good experience. He's pitched a lot of big innings for us. He's had a lot of success, and as you mentioned before, he's tasted the bittersweet feeling of being close, but not quite getting over the hump as a team or on a personal level. So you hope that all those experiences, give him a chance to have his best year yet, and that's really what we're looking for him to do.
And he had redshirted that first year with Tommy John surgery, right? And he missed the second one.
He did, yeah. He had in his 5th year, he had a Tommy John redshirt year. That's right. So he's kind of hopefully over all those frustrating injuries that he had to fight through early in his career.
Bryce, he was a highly touted pro prospect coming out of high school. Just kind of what went into those conversations with him wanting to come to college?
Well, Bryce committed here in 9th grade. He came to a baseball camp here in January of 9th grade and was a shortstop at the time, and could run like the wind. He was really fast and athletic, and right away just kind of had a love for Oklahoma State, and obviously we could see in him a great athlete that had tremendous upside. We didn't know exactly what it would be, but we knew he was a great athlete, one that we definitely wanted. So we had a strong relationship with Bryce and his dad and his family from 9th grade on. He always expressed a strong desire to be here, but he then kind of moved into a premier pitching prospect between his junior and senior year. His junior summer, he really started to show some some high-level pitching talent to go along with being a really good position player. And then his senior year was much the same. And kind of down the stretch of his senior year, he shot up, and a lot of pro teams had strong interest in him. But he wanted to be here. This is a place for him that feeds not only his baseball development, but his academics. Is very smart. And college was just something that Bryce valued. It ended up being where he wanted to be. So, each kid has to make tough decisions when it comes to looking at professional baseball and college baseball, and this is where Bryce ultimately felt like he was best served to develop in all phases of his life. So we're glad he's here. He's very talented, and we're excited to see what he does with these opportunities.
How much is he impressed if he's a freshman and you're willing to throw him in the rotation like this? Like, what has he done to kind of show you that he can handle it?
He's got 4 good pitches. So, usually when you look at a starting rotation type pitcher, you want a guy that has more than 2 pitches. In Bryce's case, he has 4. So it gives him a chance to show the batter different looks, getting through the lineup hopefully 2 or 3 times. So that's usually where it starts. His pitches are all high level. He's got good velocity. He's got good sharp break on his off-speed pitches. His curveball and slider both are sharp, and then his changeup is very effective as well. I think add to that the fact he's very athletic, so he can field his position and move around. And I think he's a very competitive young man, too. So those are, the ingredients of a good starting pitcher. He has all those ingredients. I think his work ethic in the post-October work in November, he made some good strides working with Rob on the side in that last little 3-week developmental period, and then he picked it back up when we got back second semester and showed he was able to hold those adjustments, late January, early February. So I think he's commanding the ball well to go along with those 4 good pitches, and that's usually how you kind of decide who you think's best suited to go out and start a game.
I think he's also listed as an infielder. Does he get any work there?
We haven't worked him as much on the infield to protect his arm. I think when you're developing a high-level pitcher and a guy that's throwing the ball hard, it's hard to cross-train him because we've got to monitor his throws. So we know he can play the infield if necessary, but we've really tried to allow him a chance to focus on being an elite pitcher. And playing 2 positions is really tough.
Coach, what excites you about playing a good squad like Grand Canyon in the first 3 games?
Excited. They have a beautiful facility. Brand new. I think been open about a year. The coach there is a good friend of mine. We work together at Arizona State. I know his team will be well coached. He's an awesome man. They have a good ball club. The weather's usually great out there, and when you land in Arizona, baseball season's here. It just kind of has that feeling. So we like opening the season in Arizona. We've done this now, I think, our 3rd trip to Grand Canyon. We've had a trip to Arizona State in there as well. So we like to go out to Arizona. You normally get great weather. The sun shines bright. The grass is green. Good competition, and the season's here. And that's what you need for your team is that peace of mind knowing that we have a great challenge in front of us. So I like the fact that we're going to play a good baseball team in their home stadium. We'll have to play well. I think they have sellout crowds on days 1 and 2 already. So we should play in front of a great environment for baseball. And, with spring training being in Arizona, there's always been a little bit of a baseball vibe out there. I don't know how you describe it, but having coached there for a couple of years, you felt it when you were out there. So just kind of, like I said, it's kind of like ringing the bell. The time has come, and we're excited to go out there and play.
What's different about Alex this season?
Alex Garcia?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that a whole lot's different about him. I mean, last year he came in and kind of showed great feel for things. He waited his turn. He pushed his way into the lineup. He delivered when his chances came up. He held the job. He competed fiercely. He kind of won over his teammates with his competitiveness and playfulness. He's a very strong competitor, but he knows how to laugh, and he knows how to he just doesn't take himself too seriously. So he really just kind of fit, and he just showed great feel for being a part of the team. He showed a maturity about him that everyone really warmed up to. So I think he still possesses those qualities for sure. He's fun because he's married, and we love the fact that he's just got a cool perspective. He's a good influence on the younger players. I don't know. He has a lot of strong qualities. He's a fun kid. I've really grown to admire him and appreciate the way he goes about his business. But Alex is very competitive, and he's been that way since he got here. And he'd probably tell you, that he feels like every day he has something to prove. So I think that's one of his strengths.
Hitting-wise, how has he progressed?
Well, he's always had a knack for making good contact. And he's a really strong kid, so you get a big, strong guy that makes a lot of contact. So I think he's an excellent 2-strike hitter. down the stretch last year, he was very much a clutch hitter. He delivered numerous times, and I think he was an exceptionally good two-strike hitter as well, which you can't say that for all hitters. So I think he possesses a unique ability to hit with two strikes, to hit in the clutch, to hit the ball to all fields, and he's a pretty good breaking ball hitter. So those things are all unique qualities. If you said, well, what has he done well, or what kind of separates him? I think those are some his unique ingredients that allow him to be a pretty effective RBI guy in the middle of the order.
How have you seen Dylan Gardner progress since missing some of last year with injury?
Yeah, Dylan had a tough injury last year. He had a hamate bone that initially kind of presented itself as a strained or sprained wrist, but then obviously the bone broke, and it led to kind of really a large chunk of the season where he wasn't able to play. He returned late in the year and did everything we needed him to as far as helping us win games, and used him effectively as a pinch runner and as a pinch hitter. But there's not a higher quality kid, person, teammate, leader in our program than Dylan. He's about all the right stuff. He works his tail off. He brings other people up in the way he treats people. He's definitely improved. He's healthy. He's definitely in the mix to get some time on the infield. And he's kind of like I tell some of those guys, you need to be like a pocket knife. You need to have a bunch of different things that you can do. And he can hit a line drive. He can drop down a bunt. He can steal a base. He can play good defense. He can handle the bat. So he's got some, multiple qualities that he brings to the team, along with being just an amazing all-around kid.
You said with Houston switching over to short quite a bit, you think second base would be where Dylan would be mostly?
Dylan's worked primarily at second base. He and Caden Polkovich have taken the vast majority of the reps at second base. So yeah, those two kids are the guys that are primed and ready to play second heading into this week.
How do you go about putting together a scouting report for the first series of the season? You rely on last season, or how
Well, yeah, there's the scouting report on the first pitcher. There's modern technology now that we never had that we have now. You go right on here, and you can, as you guys know, there's so much out there now that never existed before. And this video database, you can log into it and watch every pitch that the other team threw or hit last year. And you sit down and you just kind of use your eyes to tell you what you see, and watch the way they go about their swing or how they pitch, and you use information that's... Now, the players can be different from year to year, but this database here has got pretty much every pitch in college baseball sorted by team, by player, by count, by score, all of it. So it's the information age is here. And so we use our ability to watch film from the previous year to kind of figure out going into the first weekend. Obviously, players could be different. A guy could be stronger than a year ago. He could have added a pitch, so it isn't like you're going to have 100% certainty, but you have an idea of what maybe they did last year. And I'm sure they're doing the same thing on us. All the different teams are loaded in here. So there's far fewer secrets now about what your swing looks like, or your pitches look like, or even for that matter, how you line your defense up. Those things we're much more now in line with maybe the way that video had been shared with football and basketball for several years prior to us. Now baseball kind of shares in the same way.
How long have you had that?
It's the third season that Synergy Sports, I think, has been available to college baseball.
Are y'all still using the TrackMan system at all, or is that
We are.
connected to that?
Yep. TrackMan provides a lot of data on the ball, what the ball's doing, also data on the pitcher and how it's coming out of his hand, and all kinds of crazy, neat stuff that you got to really dive into to totally understand how it impacts the ball. But you can use it to teach your players. Maybe they're doing some things that the machine can tell you that you can't see with the naked eye, but that if you could make an adjustment, it might help them. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. You got to kind of try it all out and test it and decide what you think is applicable to your team, and what information you think is useful to learn. And then some of it's a bit much, and some of it's really effective.
One of the project managers had said over at O'Brate, I guess, are y'all going to bring that stuff in there? Will you shift it over or get a new one? How does that work?
TrackMan was a gift to the program from Andrew Heaney, who used to play here. And he gifted that device to Oklahoma State baseball to help us teach our players, but also for that information to be available for pro teams to learn about our players, to help our kids get exposure and help the kids as they continue their careers. So it was a really cool gift on his part to the program a couple years ago.
Coach, how do you see Cade Cavanis improve at the plate this year? Or having him
Well,
this year?
Cade has been a tireless worker from the day he got here. And he at times would tell you that he's been his own worst enemy, just working so hard and wanting to be successful so bad. Sometimes baseball you can make it hard, or you can allow your frustration to get in the way. I think he's matured a lot in that regard. I think his mental game is more consistent and at ease, and he's learning to not let one day or round of batting practice that didn't feel just quite right cause him to launch into I would say it's an experiment into a new swing. He believes in the swing that he has. He's had good at bats this spring. He's made a lot of contact. So I think he's matured. He's always been an incredible worker. He's a strong kid. He's a great outfielder. He's got a lot of qualities that just kind of learning that baseball's hard, and not let the frustration of some of the failure get to you and let it lead to other tough days, but rather turn the page on and move along quickly. So hopefully those mental skills will translate into consistency for him, because I know he's put a lot of time into it.
How do you and the coaching staff find the balance between helping Cade with his swing and maybe not doing too much to let him kind of find it on his own too?
Well, your job every day with players is to facilitate the work and then be there for them when they need help or are looking for answers. A lot of days he comes incredibly prepared and clear on what he wants to do. So those are the days you just take him through the drills and provide him the pitches and BP or the drills that he needs to get ready, and then he goes out and he puts a swing together. Those might be days where you're just helping remind him the good mental skills that he needs and help him remember the thought process that's correct. And then there's some days when players need you to help them realign their bodies, or maybe they gravitated away from the swing they had, and that's where you can use film to show them, hey, when you're going really, really good, look, this is what you were doing with your body. Now you've deviated from that. Do you realize that, or why have you deviated? So maybe just to point them in the right direction if they get outside of their swing. But there's always a fine line. You want to be effective in coaching your players, but you also the greatest gift in coaching is when the players start to get it themselves, and you can remove yourself away from what they're doing and just let them play. It's a fun thing when your players get to that point. So you just try to stay with them until they get there, and when they really take it over, you just kind of back out slowly and let them run.
Has anyone made significant